So, yeah, definitely respecting the chance of flex here. It is the Mbessa ban as well as that Poppy from G2. Poppy, obviously, such a good denial pick. I mean, you look at what G2 have been drafting for. They're clearly looking for a lot of playmaking. They're looking for these snappy engages. Poppy is something that can answer those incredibly well, so I think it is an intelligent ban. And T1, I think, just trying to set up some stability up on that top side. Lucian Bard is pretty interesting. I mean, Lucian we are seeing quite a bit of these days, but Lucian is almost in like Melio jail, right? For a long time it was Lucian Nami, and then it went to like Lucian Brahma for a little bit, and then Melio, and now we are kind of seeing the next evolution here. Of course, you're not going to have quite as powerful 2v2. You don't have that Melio passive interaction, which is so much of the early game power from the Lucian. But Lucian still can be a real threat and does have some pretty good mobility, some ways to actually deal with some of these problems. Interesting to see a Gnar ban into Yorick. That seems bizarre to me because Yorick is usually picked into Gnar.
Yeah, because you can chase him down with the Morning Mist and your ghouls just continue to chase him, and then he can't really control his Mega Gnar as well. So we'll see. Pardon?
I said that one's a bit of a head scratcher for me.
I totally agree with you. As we'll see T1 round out their comp with jungle here. Nefiri is the lock for Oner. Okay, some aggression. Teams up really well with the Mel if she can land her Searing Brilliance and then have the Golden Eclipse coming down at the same time as the Hound's Pursuit is there for the follow-up. You do so... This is the hardest counter for Yorick top, man. I hated playing into this when I was doing my Yorick top challenge.
Okay, so I will say, I don't agree.
Yeah, I know you don't.
You get silenced before call the pack. You can just get one shot.
Does a lot.
I think that is really kind of what I'm looking at. I see it as an answer, not as a counter, personally.
I 100% understand that, and I think perhaps that shows the difference between our top lane skill levels. I am Emerald in top lane, Master in support, but not good in top lane, and you are usually Master Plus. Let's be honest. In all the roles, the Skew1 steps forward and is met by Oner and Doran. Caps coming in, looking to land a Dark Sphere. Doesn't quite connect, as Hans Summer has gone for the Doran's Helm first on the Lucian. As you said, it's not as good as the Lucian Melio because Lucian's passive was updated for heals and shields. You'd still be able to get the extra damage from the Light Slinger. You can still get it with the Caretaker Shrine and with some immobilization. If you land a Cosmic Binding, you are still going to get that extra damage. Yep,
of course. Melio passive also working in there, though, and that's kind of so strong. So I'm going to be really interested to see how this top lane goes. I don't think it was a great game one from Doran. Did kind of struggle in the team fights. Some of that is compositional, of course. You know, G2, very shifty characters. You got Anivia and Vayne and Ezreal, not easy to get in on these champions, easy to get kited out as that Renekton. But I'm curious to see, how familiar is he with this matchup? Is he just going to insta-summon the ult and give those free stacks to Broken Blade? Or is he going to hold the ult and force Broken Blade if he wants to get stacks to use one on a minion? Or hold it for that summoning of the Maiden? Because that can make things really, really interesting in this 1v1. And also, how Broken Blade is going to be able to use that Feral Scream in the 5v5s is just so big. It is such a good denial tool against playmakers. You get silenced on Pyke or on Nefiri, you might just be dead before the silence ends.
Yeah, definitely. It's so difficult to escape from those situations, especially if you're starting to dash in and then you get silenced. You go forward. We saw Lavrov with a good Cosmic Binding. T1 support matchup here with the T1 Bard versus the T1 Pyke, which I'm sure Keria is happy to see.
A lot of T1 skins.
Yeah, quite a few around. As Oner jumps across the wall here, does know that Skew1 is on his Razor Beaks, puts a ward down. Skew1 has been well tracked by T1 in this early game, mostly because of that Razor Beak ward. It indicates that he's on the top side. Then when he comes around, see the Nefiri just jump in and get a little bit more vision. I think Oner there, unwilling to take the fight because of the movement of Lavrov from the bottom side. Faker forced to use both of his summoners as Caps does use the flash in mid.
Yeah, trades that flash back as Lavrov came in. And I think Faker had a false sense of security because of that move up, but this is the shared champion pool and the individual champions for each player. Broken Blade has a lot of wild ones up there. Obviously the TF, the Yasuo, the Malphite, the Warwick, the Yone, a lot of different picks than Doran, who is much more of the kind of standard meta player that you would expect out of a, a top LCK team. And I do like that Broken Blade has these different styles of champions in his toolkit, and Keria recently passed Faker to become top all-time in the assists internationally, and now he's the first ever to reach 2,000.
That is incredible. Caps really also passes Canyon for 5th most assists ever internationally with 1,298. So I'm sure he'll be looking to pick up a few more in this game. But Keria, I mean, the guy is just the GOAT support, right? If Faker didn't exist, I think you'd start to have conversations as to whether he is just the greatest, right? I think there's
so pesky though.
He is. He's always around. Like even here, just trying to hold the wave. Labrov comes across to make sure that he can't do that easily. Faker will be back out on his way. Gets the CC. A magical journey out of Labrov will manage to extricate himself from that situation.
Yep, he is A-okay. That last auto from Labrov made me a little bit nervous. At first, I thought his auto was going to go on Keria, but it was, of course, on the tower. So you're not pulling turret aggro. You are not in danger of going down. But Cap's already with a 300 gold lead, of course. Some of that you would expect to even out. You know, that's why Keria was trying to actually hold that wave. But wasn't fully able to kind of keep it off the tower. So Labrov getting it in means that Caps will maintain a pretty large lead here. There's 3 minions for Faker to get, so he can get to 32, but then there's going to be 5 or 6 available for Caps. So he is about 2 waves ahead already. That trade of summoners is obviously pretty big, and I think that will draw a lot of attention here mid.
Yeah, Keria is always looking to see if he can be drawn towards that mid lane, so perhaps catch out the fact that we don't have those flashes. And Skewer Labrov sidesteps it, whether aware or unaware. He still does not get hit by that spear out of Keria. Last time we saw Cho'Gath top was BB, by the way. He played against Whippo's Yorick back in MSI last year. He did lose that game. So hopefully better fortunes for him in this one if you're an EU fan. That series did not go well for G2.
No, it did not. But this one has already gone a lot better. And I have to
say...
True,
they got 1 game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, compared to the HLA series, right, where people, I think, were feeling pretty nervous, like, oh, God, is this our form? Like, is this our level? Are we just going to show up and get blasted? And we have the longest game of MSI in game 1, very back and forth. G2 comes out on top.
Flash forward from Keria into the Bone Skewer, and Oner's here for the chase. He won't even be needed, but lands the Darking Daggers and does take the kill.
It is always a masterclass, it feels like, for Keria, and here's the interaction. Doran is not a knower, so he's going to use the ult and give over a freebie on the stack. And that is why you don't want to use it. And if it's confusing, why you're saying, well, just what do you mean don't use your ult? Well, Cho'Gath needs to get stacks, right, to be stronger later on in the game. So if you actually hold your ult summon, he can't just sit there and never use his ult to get stacks, or he's going to be put way behind the pace of the game. So that forces the Cho'Gath to say, all right, well, am I going to hold it in case he summons a maiden, or am I going to use it on a minion and start getting this moving? And then as soon as he uses it on a minion, you have that couple minutes or a minute or whatever it is, I can't remember the rank 1 cooldown, where you can actually play with the maiden and get prio.
Yeah, about 80 seconds before rank 1 on that feast without any ability haste as Bone Skewer from Keria whistles behind Labrov's ear, doesn't quite find its connection, but good kill overall from T1. Gets Oner ahead on this Neferi, and you can see Faker also moving, thinking about a Realm Warp towards this top lane. Caps is going to catch him out. Spots the fact that there is a Rise waiting in that bush, and T1 have a very slight lead, predominantly because of that first blood.
Absolutely is, and Oner was the one who grabbed that first blood. Looked like they kind of wanted to give it to Keria, but Oner wanted the assist and did end up getting the kill with one of his dogs, I do believe, finishing that off. And still, not like you're going to be sad about Neferi getting an early first blood, as this champion really is feast or famine. You know, you go in, you are looking to put so much pressure on the back line. You want to be able to push back Caps, push back Hans, and draw a lot of pressure, right? Which is where that call to pack becomes so important, and where that interaction that I've been talking about with the Feral Scream, with that silence, becomes so tough. Because if you try to really ride that line and you get silence before you can get that call to pack immunity off, then you may just die without ever being able to use it. And if you use it too early, well, you can get CC'd up after and potentially die too.
Yeah, it becomes a huge problem if you are caught out. And there's so much damage as well for G2. And point-and-click CC, which I think is very important when you are looking to try and
harder to outplay.
It's much harder to outplay, man. I miss the days when Tarek's Dazzle was just point at the enemy. Okay, you're stunned.
Kind of skill shot.
Yeah, I loved it. In the bottom lane, Pays slightly behind Hans Sama, as Broken Blade is put into a little bit of a cage, but it should be fine to walk his way out. But really the supports haven't been down here, and Pays so consistently when he is playing these majors manages to get these leads. Looks like T1 are setting up around the Drake, as there's the Bone Skewer. Soulless Nair not connecting. Hans Sama dashing forward as they look for the Realm Warp behind. Magical Journey out. And G2 will manage to extract themselves.
Yep, going to be A-okay here. This is Pays on Mages, 3-0 on Mel, 1-0 on Syndra. His first loss on Mage last game on the Ziggs was taken down there by G2, as Faker did use that Realm Warp early, and T1 were hoping to get a pick into the Dragon. Because they did not get the pick, and Faker has to go back mid, or he's going to give up all these plates and minions. They decide, you know what, we actually can't spend the time to claim the dragon now, so they are forced back by that disengage.
Oh, Grand Starfall, flash forward as there was a flash away from Doran, but Broken Blade's here for the chase. Caps across the wall with the Scatter the Weak as well. Won't allow the Undertaker out. It's Hell in a Cell, and G2 are winning.
Nicely played there by G2, looking for a play up towards that top side. Doran tries to use the cage and the flash to escape, but Skewmon is there to get him. Really the only thing I think Doran maybe could have done is you try to put the cage right kind of like where it fully blocks off the thing, and it can mess up pathing. And there's some weird tricks you can do with that, but pretty hard to escape 3 members.
TP in from Broken Blade as T1 trying to secure at least one of these grubs. Don't have the smite on Oner, but will manage to take it, so it will be a 1-for-2 grub exchange as Broken Blade, after teleporting, looks like he is just going to go top. Pays and Keria have been swapped up to that lane. Summer's going to be left to his own devices against the Yorick down in that bottom side.
Yep, you can see Doran has his ult back up and just trying to get to level 11, where that Maiden cannot just get one shot there. Well, it's not truly one shot, but close to one shot by the Feast. Close enough that it doesn't really matter, as that Bone Skewer just
I did go between the minions, which I think does show just how good Keria is at the pick, managing to weave it through that, but Broken Blade didn't step too far forward. Currently at 3 stacks on the Cho'Gath. 10 stacks is where you get the really increase, like every time you ult and feast something, you get increased range on your ultimate as well. And 10 stacks, it's the maximum increased range it can be, which can help in fights. Like Cho'Gath doesn't have a gap closer. That little bit of extra range can really help you. Yeah, you are.
It is tough at times for sure. And you get 6 of those stacks just straight up from the minions. And then, of course, you can get it on epic monsters, dragons, barons, heralds, things like this, as well as champions if you do get that last hit. So going to be trying to stack that up as best he possibly can, already up to 4 stacks. So I love when Cho'Gath players are just pressing the button. Like, you shouldn't just sit there and wait and wait and wait for this like potential all-in that might come. You need to get stacks. It is so much of your power later on. You're not only increasing the range, but also, of course, based on the health that you're gaining, it is increasing the damage of the ult, which is making it more likely to get those subsequent stacks. And they are sending 3 top here again, potentially looking to try to punish Doran, who is missing his flash. And he knows it, so he will be able to back off, but that is going to cost them some plates. That is going to cost them some minions.
Doran's TPing to bot lane tower. They're going to put the Maiden down and immediately try and race this. 2 grubs to 1. That sort of race will go in G2's favor, but T1 already have the wave pushed in. They'll take the Drake as well, as G2 invested a lot on towards that top side.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Yorick, of course, fantastic at killing off these towers. But Caps and Broken Blade still racing for this, so let's see who is going to win it. I think it is going to be T1, but it's going to be close. I mean, T2 got back on that tower faster, so it looks like they might actually win. The
Sheen Last Rites can do quite a bit of work. There is the Maiden helping as well, of course. It's going to be incredibly close between these two, as the first tower of the game is so tight. Oner comes across. It will be T1. They'll get it with the Last Rites. G2 just 2 seconds too late.
And that's all that counts. And they're able to get it. You know, you can see Oner wasn't 100% confident that they were going to get it in the 2v2, so he's like, all right, I'll get down there, try to give a little bit of assistance. They do get that first tower gold, which is pretty nice, and just about all the difference in the gold splitting these 2 teams. You can see Broken Blade already with that Heartsteel completed. Going to be looking to try to scrap a bit, start getting some stacks. Cho'Gath so powerful with that additional HP.
Faker has to use the Ghost here. Tempered Fate comes out, and with the Ghost, he can very quickly sidestep that, then steps back forward.
It is cool seeing the T1 logo from the bar just like splash on the ground beside the GOAT, the T1 legend himself. I mean, Faker has what? I think it's something like 9-10 skins now.
Grand Starfall in, there's the shield bot as well. Summer dashing forward, Pays able to get the rebuttal off. Keria is going to have to dash across this wall to escape, as Oner looks to hold that culling, uses the dogs to do so.
Yeah, and they're going to try to keep BB away from this top side. Doran was trying to get up there and get some access to that tower. So we did get the 1 feast off the Maiden, but even without Doran, you know, just kind of delaying the summoning, it hasn't really mattered because they haven't really been laning that much against each other. And Doran closing in here on level 11, so we'll see if BB can one-shot that one more time before Doran does get that level up, where the Maiden later in the game starts getting pretty tanky. It becomes difficult to actually knock it down as it scales up with those ranks in the ult as well as with your stats.
Yeah, especially if you play well around it as well. You can manipulate how much it steps forward, how much it steps back, as Lebrov and Caps look for Faker on this bottom side. Unleash power onto Faker, takes him down to a 3rd. Keria on the flank, though Lebrov will land a stun onto Oner, stopping T1's idea of taking this fight. G2 investing 4 players around here for now, as Caps perhaps will just look for the crystalline overgrowth as Faker wisely walks away from the Dark Sphere in the Force of Will.
It's actually the crystalline overgoat
yes.
that he was going for there.
Goodness. Oh, they jump onto Caps. It's Keria, death from below as Caps is taken out. Lebrov trying to chase out this Pike. Hansama on his way through the magical journey. Keria needs some fancy feet to get away, and Hansama comes in to secure the kill. A lot of gold to Hansama there as Skewmond and Oner butt heads in the river, and both of them able to escape. The flash from Skewmond enough to keep him alive.
The stat sheet will show a solo kill for Keria, but of course Caps was very low.
Skewmond just to the side of the steering, brilliance. And with the Tempered Fate, Pays rebuts Lebrov. Solar Snare out as well as Faker is looking for more. He has the flash, and Skewmond now in range. The Aegis Assault, no movement speed for him. Faker takes it. Hansama now needs to get the hell out of dodge, but T1 are collapsing perfectly. The flash across the wall.
Here comes
Where's Keria? Pike can smell blood in the water. A bone skewer goes to Narnia, but it didn't need to hit. Faker takes the kill.
Yeah, Faker looks so good on these sort of champions where he can get out on the map, where he can roam, where he can really play. Just so proactive, right? You know, just getting busy on the map here, moving around with T1. They're looking for Caps.
Phantom on the toe, Keria down to Caps as Oner tries to trade back in. Lebrov going the long way around, looking for the Caretaker's blessing, and it will be enough. The magical journey. Oner still dashing, a Darkened Dagger will get him with the bleed, but Caps gets the shutdown in response. Meanwhile, Broken Blade trying to survive on the top side as Pays brings down the Golden Eclipse, but it's not enough even with the ghouls chasing him out. Broken Blade will heal up.
Trying and succeeding to survive on that top side as Lebrov and Skewmond now hunting. He gets the slow.
Faker gets the movement speed though, and will just walk away. I don't think Skewmond and Lebrov would have had enough damage to take down Faker easily, especially since he's still holding on to that flash. Doesn't have the Rod of Ages complete as of yet, but probably has enough in his inventory to finish that one up, and you can see he's now backing away. Next fight, likely around this Rift Herald, although we could be looking at a second Drake play.
Yeah, there's the Roa coming in, and Faker also working quickly towards that Archangels. They're going to TP back. They don't want to give up this Herald. I mean, Oner is so strong right now. He already has the Cycle of Sword. He's closing in on a second item. And when he gets it, he is going to be so threatening, especially for Caps, who's going to be very reliant upon his team to keep this guy off of him. Obviously, you can sidestep as much as you want, but that's only going to do so much.
G2 are TPing Broken Blade in here. Oh, great dodge with the call of the pack as Broken Blade tries to step forward onto Faker, who will just walk away. Doran, their next target, shield rolled in from Skewmond. Doran flashes into the back of the Herald Pit. The rest of T1 now trying to collapse on Caps and Lebrov, but Doran is just nom by Broken Blade. G2 wrest control of the Herald Pit out of T1's hands, and it looks like T1 have given up the ghost on it.
Yeah, that was really well played there by G2. They just kind of came in and they split up T1. They push back Faker as well as Doran on one side, and Doran got stunned up there. And once he got stunned up, he was so low, he didn't feel he had time to actually get over to the wall and flash to safety over the wall. So instead he had to flash into the pit, but T1 couldn't force their way through on the other side, but they will look for a play of their own, going for this second dragon here. We'll find out if that early work on the dragons is going to be rewarded by a powerful soul. G2 definitely hoping it will not be, but it is Ocean, which definitely not the one that T1 are hoping for. They're a relatively squishy team. Ocean not going to do much for champions like Nefiri and Mel and Pike, but any soul is a valuable soul.
Death from Below used for the stun with the Realm Warp follow-up. Caps, you can unleash whatever power you want, but Faker and Keria combine to take him out.
It's just like watching a Pike tips and tricks. Like, he's showing you all the combos here, just beautifully done. What he is doing there is E and then ulting on behind you, which teleports you to them, making the E undodgeable. Then you're stunned. The Bone Skewer's already coming out. That's undodgeable too. It's just so clean, so precise from Keria on this champion. Gets them another kill and does start to push Faker ahead. BB trying to get some gold back on the other side of the map, and he is the big advantage for the team. He has got to be the guy who is creating space for those carries, getting into the mix, but you don't want to overextend because this champion is so slow, so low on mobility.
Grand Starfall onto Faker. T1 running up through the river, but Faker's running the wrong direction and has no Realm Warp to get out of this one. They might try and just give it over to Caps. Skewmond orders one more time. Caps is here. The shutdown does go to Skew. Meanwhile, Culling used into the rebuttal. Broken Blade tried to trade onto Pays. Hansama dashes in, and Keria is devoured! The Tempered Fate not quite in time to save him from the bleed as G2 find 3 across the map.
I mean, look at the turnaround there on the Feral Scream from BB. It looked like it might be going bad for G2, but he lands a silence across the 2 members, and they just burst them down with the Feast and the Feral Scream and all the damage coming through. And pretty much just got a double kill there, and now Broken Blade up to 8 stacks already, 1,500 gold ahead individually, and he is not going to be an easy champion to take down. Yes, T1 will have a lot of damage as you get later on into the game, but this is going to be a tough champion to deal with, who also has a lot of kill threat on your squishy champs at the same time.
I think as well, we haven't talked about it, but you get bigger the more you feast, and the fact that you can stand there and block the Bone Skewer coming out from Keria as well, you are just bigger and bigger as the game goes on, and that's the Heart Steel's going to help out with that as well. As Skewmon forces Keria away, the Maiden. Unfortunately, we're going to see... Ooh, I thought Doran was going to become a widower, in fact, but the Maiden does survive.
Maiden does survive, and T1 playing towards that top side. G2, a lot of members down here, but the Dragon is not up. Someone's got to go.
Minutes away.
Yeah, it seemed pretty early to be playing, so heavily down on that bot side, but they do get Caps back up to collect this wave, so no big deal. Faker pushes it in and does start to try to steal away from some of these camps, but you can see both teams being pretty active here. Caps looking to steal that away with the scatter, but Oner is covering him, and Skewmon is stealing away the Gromp on the other side. So tit for tat across the map here, as both teams staying active and trying to find a window to punish their opponents.
The push comes in from T1, and with the grub damage, the tower will fall. Faker walks in to make sure it does. That's the mid-tier 1 taken for T1. They're third of the game, only 2 for G2 right now. Gold basically even, but again, you have to look at where it sits. Like, Faker is 800 gold ahead of Caps right now. 2 items complete, Rod of Ages, 4 stacks on it. You saw what was the ooh for?
IE just got bought.
IE did just get bought for
as a second item. So that is a bursty build.
That's a big ooh.
That is an ooh, because if you get silenced as Keria or Oner, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I thought you would just keep going past my ooh.
It was such an emphatic ooh. Yeah. I was like, oh, I've missed something really important, and I'm glad we stopped so that you could highlight the fact this Infinity Edge has been bought.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's ooh-worthy, in my opinion.
I agree.
And we'll see. I mean, because he doesn't have to go in towards like Navori or anything like that. This is heavy AD. This is a ton of upfront damage, upfront burst. And it is a scary, scary, scary game to be Keria, to be Doran, even Pays. I mean, you're so reliant on rebuttal. If you get Feral Scream flashed by Broken Blade and you're silenced, well, you don't have that. You might just be dead instantaneously. So it's going to be about the execution here, as you can see G2 dropping Herald mid, trying to pressure. Faker still pushing bot for now. Does have the Realm Orb.
Maiden pulled back with the force of will. Taken out with the charge from the Herald, and even with the Dark Deception, Skewmon's still able to get away. Look at Faker coming up. He's going to have the Realm Orb, but look at Doran. He has nothing left. Another charge here. It's Caps riding the Herald towards the tower there. The plates rebuttal out. Faker still waiting to see if he can come across with the Tempered Fate hitting, and Pays with no escape. BB on a rampage. This Cho'Gath is unstoppable as Oner's forced to eviscerate away as G2 eviscerate T1.
Yeah, T1 getting punished so heavily there. I think Doran really didn't realize the amount of health on that tower, and now G2 are just going to go to Baron because he thought he could defend there, but the tower was one-shot by the Herald, and now this is problems for T1. They're just going to decide to give it, but T1, it was dead even just a minute ago, and now it is going to be an over 2.5k gold lead here for G2 as Doran dies for free, and then the rest of T1 kind of caught off guard, and it felt like overstayed their welcome. Pays goes down as well.
Importantly for T1, they will get an Ocean Drake. They are on soul point now as Doran has stepped forward, and a Grand Starfall into a shield bolt. Oh, Doran, you just got back out on the map! Skewmon with his second, and for T1, things are falling apart.
They are, especially for Doran and maybe Pays.
Puts the rebuttal down. They haven't unleashed power from Caps, but he held onto it. Bone Skewer out. G2 will settle with 4 plates out of that tower as Broken Blade the target for Faker and Oner, but BB might just win this in the 1v2. Feral Scream dodged away from TP behind as Caps looks to join the play, and Tier 1's desperation has turned into G2's desert. Caps comes across, Oner out from the unleashed power, a Realm Orb out from Faker, the Scream. Not quite in time to keep him around as he had some earbuds in or something.
He's going to be able to get out of there, but still, that is not much of a win to have one person survive when you were going for a 2v1 play on the other side of the map. After you just lost Baron, after you just lost your mid lane tier 1, almost your mid lane tier 2, and Broken Blade is just comically tanky at this point. Scumon's behind Pays.
Has to flash away from the Temper Fate. TP coming in from Broken Blade as T1 are very much on the back foot. They've been hit by a jab and a haymaker. Can they get back off the camper? Because right now, it's looking like G2 with this Baron push are going to go to about 5.5k ahead. The Red Bull Baron power play, still 90 seconds remaining on it here as Zeus. The gold exploding.
I mean, you never want to count T1 out, but this game is starting to look very, very grim for them. Doran has been completely useless on this Yorick. Really put down and not able to do anything in these team fights, and they just can't get past the Cho'Gath. I mean, look at him. He's just standing in their face, tanking all the damage, while tower after tower dies. Doran's still pushing top, and we can see it in the Coinbase gold grind. Massive lead for Broken Blade. Oner's trying to threaten something, but T1 at least clear out that wave and buy some time for Doran to get some towers.
Good damage from the Spell Flux out of the Rise. It was bouncing onto Hans Sommer, onto Caps, and Broken Blade can't block that.
And a big spike for Faker is going to be coming. He's at 8 stacks on the Roa. He's almost 15. He's going to slingshot to 16.
Yep. Actualizer soon as well, hopefully for him.
And that would be very, very important. But you can see 3 items done for Hans, 3 items done for Caps. Broken Blade miles ahead of where this Yorick is. And they have the damage to follow it up, and they have the playmaking tools. They have the ability to engage. And they have the ability to deny a lot of what T1's carries want to do. This Fed Cho'Gath just creates so many issues because you can't ignore him or he'll kill you if you just walk into melee range of him. If you spend the whole fight kiting, well, Caps and Hans and Skewmon are going to kill other people on your team. So it just becomes so tough for T1, and that is why we are seeing these hit-and-run tactics. That's why they're going to the side lanes, trying to find some way. We need to get a pick before we go to a 5v5.
They're looking for a pick with the Bone Skewer, but Hans Sommer wisely backs away from it. For T1, they do have that small sliver of hope. In 2 minutes, Ocean Soul. If they can win a fight around that, get the soul, they start to get back into the game. I don't think it's a game-winning fight, but it's very much a first step on the ladder towards success.
It's something that could help to equalize for sure, right? You know, and as we touched on earlier, I don't think it's the best soul for their comp, but any soul has a lot of value, period. The difficulty is 50-50 should not go in your favor against level 3 Feast.
True.
You know, that is really, really hard. And the 5v5s have just looked tough for them. So they need to find a way to get in, to claim vision. But when you're looking at the mini-map right now, this is just nothing. The furthest up wards for T1 are back here. Like, that's kind of what they got, right? They have no vision outside of their base on the dragon side of the map. So instead, they might just use the pressure of that soul to say, all right, we're going to make a play elsewhere. We'll send maybe 2-3 top, try to overload, force for an inhib, force for a response where maybe we can punish you, because I just don't know how they're going to actually get over to that dragon realistically.
I very much agree. Incredibly hard for them as Bob steps forward. Bone Skewer just short of clipping him. Oner does manage to take away the Gromp. G2 will push up through the top side. Baron also up in about 90 seconds time.
Well, you can see Skewmon moving bot. They're actually pinging assist down towards that Yorick. They're going to go with Hans and Skew and try to pick off Doran.
Doran wisely backs away. I have seen Yorick's outplay. I will say a 2-item Yorick into a 2.5-item Pantheon and a 3-item Lucian would be tricky.
It's a tough outplay.
It would be tricky.
I think that puts you more in the realm of misplay that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
But it can happen for sure. I mean, if you ignore the ghouls, if you ignore the Maiden, they put out a lot of damage. Yorick does have those abilities to make some magic happen in a side lane, but has been tough. And you can see T1 still not getting over there. So I think the call is just to give up the dragon. And the question is, how does G2 manage this? Do they send multiple members to defend the side lanes? Do they just send one and try to solo it out? And it looks like for now, it is just Broken Blade basing for top, but now they're going to try to look with more potentially. He was definitely nervous that more members were coming.
Yeah, Oner is coming across here to see perhaps if he can find a steal. Call of the Pack will jump him out of any CC possibilities, but in the end, G2 do get the Ocean. The gold lead after the Baron push was 5k, now down to 4.2. T1 doing a good job of finding all the gold they can on the map before what is likely to be a big fight in 30 seconds.
Yeah, and the question just becomes, does the game actually get better for you as you go further on? True. I kind of feel like it does not, but that does not mean that T1 can't find an outplay, because of course, everything goes out the window when Pays, and Keria one-shot Hans or one-shot Caps, right? But, if G2 do get good vision down, do have Broken Blade being that kind of first line of defense that they have to get past, I think it is so tough for these playmakers on T1 to just walk through the choke.
Stepping forward here. Darking Daggers almost connect. Faker with the damage. Didn't pop the actualizer, now does have it completed. Yep,
and he has 16, as we talked about, so he's almost 17 now at this point. So Faker definitely, you give him an angle under your carries, he could take them down, but Skewmon just completed the GA. And Feast, great for securing objectives. So if G2 wants, it's not a 50-50. They could go over here, secure vision, try to force T1 to come to them, and look for a Smite plus Feast combo to secure it, and that is exactly what they're trying to do. They want Doran to TP at the very least.
Doran's still pushing through the bot side right now. Broken Blade pulled back into the Baron pit. Keria there, Grand Starfall towards the backline as they go for Oner. Tempered Fate hitting onto 2 as well. G2 looking for the fight instead. The knock-up from Broken Blade means that Pays has no place to go. Doran does TP, but too late to save anyone. Another knock-up, another Doran death as G2 find 2 around the Baron.
The Yorick has just been digging his own grave this game time and time again as G2 making it look easy, and Labrov has been catching everyone with these ults. The two-man ult on Pays and Faker post-Pays flash means that it is just lights out for T1 in that fight. Oner trying to find a way in, but this is not a 50-50. I just don't see it happening.
I mean, Broken Blade is the one marking him, so if Oner could get past BB towards the Baron, it would have been, but G2 do secure their second of the game.
Yep, and Faker down towards that bot side. Was briefly the only one with the gold. He was up 2 gold on Caps before he took that wave. But look at the advantage now for G2. The Soul has been stopped, the second Baron has been taken, and it is big leads on much more consistent champions on the side of G2. It's much easier to play out the fight to get value on a Bard, on a Pantheon, compared to the under-level and very poor Keria and Oner. Keria is level 10. Cho'Gath is level 18. Mid lane is level 17. Yeah. Keria is 3 levels down on Labrov, so in the best of times, it's hard to play Pyke in the late game. In times like this.
Bone Skewer onto Broken Blade, Rupture coming down. There's a Solar Snare for the follow-up, and Faker's here from the side trying to machine gun down this Cho'Gath, but Faker realizes there's only one big dog here as Broken Blade's going to force him away. The Tempered Fate hits the backline, and G2 pounce! Pays brings out a golden eclipse, but there's only darkness for T1 as Keria is forced away, and the culling finds the Undertaker. Yorick down, 3 down, G2 pushing through mid.
G2 are about to bring us the match point here. Keria is trying to cut the wave, but they still have the Baron cannon. G2 just have to defend it and push in for the win.
BB is absolutely massive. The Hound's pursuit does nothing against G2. It is 1 away from glory, 1 away from their first best of 5 win against T1.